Now we will work on something called as loops. There are two types of loops in Python. One is for loop and other one is while loop. And there is another kind of loop also called as do while. But do while is not possible in Python, but only for. Within for loop, there are two types of for loops in general. Different languages support different ways of doing. If you go to the case of Python, Python supports for loop in one way. Let me show you this. Generally, there are two types of for loops. For loop which you see generally in C, C++, JavaScript everywhere, where you take in a variable, you increment or decrement, you write a condition, within that you check it. So you are generating a sequence and within that sequence you work on it. That kind of things are not valid in Python. But there is another thing. Means if some object is already created, which is having some sequence, it will loop for that much time. So that kind of loop is there in Python. Interestingly, some languages support both of them, let's say partial, or like some support only one of them. Python supports this second kind of way. And now I told the second point about iterable objects. Any object that support iterations over it. So it is called as iterable object. So iteration means looping. So non-iterable objects, if you see, int, float, so none, boolean, all these things are non-iterable objects. Because when you do a for loop on them, it will throw in error. Say, if you do like for I in 123 or so and so, if I do a print, it says int object is not iterable. If I do the float, it says float is not iterable. None not iterable, bool is not iterable, like that. So it will not work. So why it won't work? Because doesn't support for loop on them. If I do the same thing on a ordinary data types, like other data types, let's say string, if I take example of a string, so you'll understand. If I take like string or say string, you take example. If I do for loop, each time it will do a for loop and print it. In for loop, hope you remember this one I told you earlier also. Okay, what I told, you can, apart from the printing, you can also give a comma, I told, right? That's just for us to understand. But if you don't want to give also, fine, as a wish. If I do like a print of I, it will print all the values. But if you want to print all in one line, after the end I can give like a slash comma or something, so that everything comma separated in the same line for us to better understand. That's it. So similarly, I do the same thing with a number as a string. So you have a string with characters or string with the numbers. So once it is in quotes, it's a string, right? No matter how it is defined. And similarly, if I have any number, I can pass to a string and also do it. I pass to a string built-in function means it will convert a string. Then if you print it, you get those characters. Similarly, if I have anything like a boolean, so you convert a string and you print it. Similarly, if we have a none built-in function, none built-in function is like a non-iterable. But if you convert like to a string, then it is like an ordinary thing. So if once it is a string, you can print it as anything. So this time I did two statements in one line. That's the reason you saw like that. If I execute separately, you will see separately. Now fine. So going further, you understood how you can apply a for loop on something. Let me take one more interesting example. So for each character in say Python, I want to print each character. Okay, same like the above you did. So what is the difference? So every time when I'm printing, there are if I want to get the loop count, I can create a new variable called as loop count is equal to 0, and I can do like, so every time I can print what is the loop count. Say loop count, I can do loop count comma this thing. If I print both of them, it will be 0 every time because I need to increment somewhere, right? So after my loop, say I am doing like plus equal to 1. Now you see when I did a plus equal to 1, did you see every time I got 0, 1, 2, 3, 5? Means I got a loop count also. Means not only just printing, I am trying to get the loop count also. That's interesting. And if you want to achieve the same thing in Python with an ordinary functions, we cannot do directly. So if you want to do that, we need to pass our function to it. So for each char in Python, if you write like print of each char, again individually you got the characters. Now for this I pass something else called as a enumerate. Enumerate is another function. If you pass it, it will change the things. Instead of getting like one character, you get two things at a time. So instead of you writing separately, you can use it. So what it actually does, if I take like, type also, you'll understand. See, it is saying every time it's a tuple. So in first case, it is just printing a character. Second case, apart from your character, it is giving some position also, right? Means the loop index. So that's what you need to understand. So we need to understand this concept of unpacking. For the first time, you came to the concept of unpacking. What is unpacking? For a moment, like I'm parking this for loop and just trying to understand. Hope you remember what is an assignment operation. Assignment operator means like, number 0 is equal to say 111 something. Or I can do like for number 2 or like number 3. 2 times I can give say 222 and 333. Like this also I can give. Or number 4. So of course it's not a number 4. Say my tuple is called as like say 4444 555 666. Like that also I can give. Means either I need to give one variable to one value, or two variables to two values, or three variables, say number 4, number 5, number 6. Number 6 means the number of variables and number of values on either side should be equal. In that case, we can do it. If I try to print like, hey, can you tell me what is number 1, number 2, number 3? It will exactly give. But you should not do like, if I say number 7 and number 8, if I give, and if I say like just 777, that is not possible. So, or there is another thing like my tuple, because like if you give only one variable and assign all the values, so it will treat like a tuple. That is another data type. Leave it aside. But unpacking means the number of variables and number of values on either side should be equal. It is just like a simple assignment operator. Simple assignment operator. Whereas this is like unpacking. Hope you understood. Yes. So define between an ordinary assignment and a unpacking. Okay, why I'm telling this? In Python, down the line, you will learn about a lot. Now, again, let's see this example. Each time you're getting two values at a time, right? If I take like, instead of like, this one, see here in this example, let's take, I'm getting two values at a time. Let's say I am not printing this tuple. It's a tuple as I know. If I print it, I get like this. So each time I'm getting two values, instead of taking like this, can I write like this, like a loop count? The loop count which I wrote earlier, and I do loop count comma. So don't you see like what's interesting here? So when you are getting two values at a time, you are assigning to two variables. Did you understand now? If you do the same thing for an ordinary Python script without an enumerate, then it will throw an error for you, because one time only one value will come, right? So it doesn't work. As enumerate is giving, it is giving the extra things. That's where you can use it. Hope it's clear. So instead of like just printing, now I can do much better things. Like, at position so and so loop index, the character is this thing. So like that much, it makes more sense right now for us to understand. And it is not just like printing. So why position every time should start from 0? I can give some other position, right? So for that I need to give a offset. If I give an offset, see -3, see the positions are starting from -3 to till 2. So similarly, if I give an offset of say some 77, if I give, then it will start from 77 till 82. And similarly, if I go with like anything else, it works. Hope now you understood the concept of enumerates, right?
Yeah. So,
Yes.
what does actually do the enumerate function is uh, it returns to two values. That's why we are giving two variable. For
Exactly.
correct. Okay.
Enumerate gives the loop index.
Okay.
So many a times we need the loop index. Let's say if you want to compare the previous value and the current
Mhm.
value and the previous value, or if you want, in many of the cases, this index will help us,
Okay.
means the loop index or the loop count.
And can you go upper like where we started without the loop count 000?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So without a loop count 0, right? So all the is coming 000, right?
No, no, no. You see here, without a loop count, initially 0. So we created a variable and added,
No.
right?
Yeah.
We
We
artificially added.
yeah after add before add loop count, that is a zero position, y like 0 position without giving the loop count.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
di- can you explain the question again? I didn't understand.
yeah,
Is
sure.
it clear?
Uh yeah. So this is the without loop count is equal to 0 and loop count plus is equal to 1. There is a only code for each character in Python. Print each
Yes, yes.
character. Okay.
I'm telling that I'm created a variable outside,
Okay.
and within the loop, after every loop, I'm incrementing the loop number.
Okay, yeah, that I understand. But basically, in the for loop, each what I can say. So each character has like whenever the for loop is going on, right? Whenever we are giving the
Yes,
condition,
yes.
it automatically increase one position. So is there any condition over there that it displays 00000 all the before giving the loop count?
I didn't
Uh,
understand your question.
no, no. Earlier, when you didn't introduce the loop count is equal to 0 and loop count is equal to plus 1, right?
Yes, yes. If I comment this line, then it
Yeah,
will be every time 0.
yeah.
That's what you need to understand.
Yeah, so just I just want to understand this part that 000 and after.
Yes. So if you don't increment it, whatever is the value in it, you will get it right.
Okay, okay.
So here, what is the value? Initially,
Oh,
you define
so
0.
okay, okay. We
That's why you get
define
it.
0, that's why it's coming 0.
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay, got it. Sorry. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, sure. So this is all about these conditions. And also, these loops will work on any iterable objects I told, right? So I told about strings, which is a Python is a string. So similarly, you can work on lists, tuples, sets, dictionaries. These are all iterables. Down the line, you learn a lot, and you can apply everything this so loop, and every wherever for loop you can apply. There's you can place enumerate and all these things. So I did down these things. You can do perform so loop and enumeration on range object. Range is already you know. Down the line, you learn about other data types like the tuple set and others. At the time, you can try that also. But for today, exam assignment is that one. Now, let's me take with one more example. This time, we will work on while loop. Same like for loop, there is one more thing called a while loop. How the while loop works. In while, Python supports only one kind of while, means just a while loop. There are something like a do whiles also, so in other languages, but Python doesn't support it. How a while loop will be there in Python means, so typically there will be The syntax is simple. Initialization, the loop condition, logic, increment or decrement. But unlike other languages, Python doesn't support these kind of unary operations. Hope you remember C language, C++ support these things. Unary means, so first give the value, then increment. First give the value means pre-increment, post-increment, pre-decrement, post-decrement, like that are there, right? Those things are not possible. Those are called as unary operations. Python supports operations in only one way, like plus equal to, minus equal to. So first, let me take the first example. So incrementing loop with increment first. Say first I will take I equal to 0. I think I was in the other markdown. Let me open it. Yeah. Initially I will take I is a variable which is value of 0. Now while I is less than 5. So this is the first initialization. Initialization. And next to the condition. Say condition. If I is less than so and so, then I want to do the so plus equal to 1. Means like increment right here. So whatever you take, you need to increment. So I incremented the value. Then I like printed the value of I. Now you see in this case, so each time it will execute and give it. So from 0 onwards, it will only manually do. So in some cases, for loop is not suitable because like the variables are not defined. So we need to write ourselves, right? As Python doesn't support a condition based sequence generation for loop, only while loop is there for us. That too, while loop is much faster compared to for loop for the given conditions. So what are the logic? This is a condition. Logic, business logic you want to do. Maybe in this business logic, I want to just print it. Or else you want to write to a file or something else. You can do that. Hope you understood how it worked. Maybe I write like, end equal to, say like, comma equal to. Then see everything will come in single line for you to better understand. Now, this one I want to write in other way. Incrementing loop with increment last means this is your logic. How you want to write, it's up to us. Means within the file value, either you can do the increment first and then do the logic, or increment last. It's up to us. But based upon what you do, the output also will be like that. You see, first you printed and then you are incrementing. That's why your values are from 0 to 4. Here first you are incrementing, then you are printing. That's why your values are from 1 to 5. See, within the same incrementing loop. Is it clear? So, and not only this, I am adding like one more thing. If I want to tell like, here I told less than, right? Here also condition is less than. What if I write some slight difference, like less than or equal to? If I do like increment again here, less than or equal to again. If I give less than or equal to, and if I execute, it works perfectly. And did you observe here that it is giving from 0 till 5? So the same thing I did, but I wrote a condition. So that's the reason working with while loop is a bit tricky for a beginners, because you need to know what is the condition till what you want to make. So is it clear? Now, if I want to make a decrementing loop, so if I want to make a small decrementing loop, let me give a try. So I have a logic. So and I want to implement it. So I will take the same above thing and I try to implement a decrementing. So instead of I plus equal to, what if I write I minus equal to? I started from 0. I need to go till 5. What if I say minus? 0 minus 1 is minus 1. The moment minus comes, it will go on, go on, go on doing like infinitely. Did you understand? It's going to an infinite loop. So that's the reason we should not go to it. So it is an infinite loop. Okay, so why it is going to infinite loop? Because so you were starting somewhere and you were about to stop, but you didn't stop and it worked it. So I want to stop it, right? Interrupt means you stop it, because it is too harsh to do that much. So either I can do a restart or like stop the kernel. See, kernel is like getting crashed because of this infinite loop. So this is not needed. So I can do like a simple restart also. I don't know like whether it will, because like VS Code is like a plugin editor. So sometimes like it will be crazy for this. So it will lead to infinite loop, right? Infinite loop. So we should be very careful in terms of what we are doing, else we gonna live with these things. So this is what understanding. So next time we should not repeat like this, and we should go ahead. So next thing, what I want to do like this is, so we can do like a decrementing loop. So in the same fashion, in the decrementing also we can try. So whatever is working, it works perfectly, and you do it. So it would be like slightly irking because this got stuck. If I open again, close and open again, you can see better the while loops. Now you understood while loop is fast. You can have your own way of doing, but still there is potential way of going to issues if you are not doing properly. The simple logic is that when you are starting from somewhere and you need to go to the highest value, you increment. If you want to go to the lowest value, then you decrement. That's it. And similarly, let me give one practical example. With this, like will understand oops very easily. So let me take a very small example. Say I'm going again by to Python script. I want to implement some for loop of a multiplication table. So if I want to implement multiplication table, so I need to know how to work with while loops. Say first I am going for a variable called as first. So first is having a value of 0. So while, so first is a value which is having a value less than 5. Okay. And if I say like, so first plus equal to 1, then if I say like, if I say print of say first, whatever first value is there, first equal to. Now I want to print that and see, you see now what will happen. So I need to go to the different directory. I need to go to loops and CLS and Python C so and so. Now, if I execute, you will understand that first will be 1, 2, 5. Good. And similarly, let me go for one more thing called as second is equal to 0. So while, so second is less than 5, second plus equal to 1. And if you try to print second, so is it string, right? Second is equal to, if I do, and if I execute, now did you notice? First came and second came. So these are two for loops. Now we understood. So when you have two separate independent while loops, it works like this. And what if you want a while loop within another while loop? I will take the same example and I will just repeat it. This time, so I pass on. In Python, we don't have braces. If we just give an indentation, it will go inside it. Now it is like a while loop within another while loop. If I execute, did you see how much crazily it happened? Means for each of the first value, second is executing those many number of times. Did you all understand? So for a moment, if I give like /t for you to understand, tab space, then you will understand. You see, initially this is 5 times and this is 5 times, and for each of the first one, it will second one is going 5 times. means 5 into 5, which is 25 times it is executing. Now, did you all understand what is a loop within a loop means? So for you to better understand, maybe like I'll comment it and we can do the same thing here. I can print both of them here. So that's where like you can understand. So maybe like I'm just printing two numbers. So print of first comma second. If I do this time, you'll understand. See first and second. So as I have these things, let me focus more on these things. Okay. So as I have these things, I can place a multiplication symbol here. So whatever I place it, I will get it here. Oh, I need to place a comma at the end. If I execute, I get it. So means like I was no more interested in these things. I can comment it as I can focus more on this. I get it. So and also I can have like one more symbol, means a string, and also that I can do like first into second. You see, 1 into 2, 2 into 2, like that. And after each of this second loop, if you want like a empty print or like something, you can do. You see, the place of this print makes a lot of difference. That's why indentation is very important, I told. If I just give the same indentation inside, you see the output, how it works. And if they give the same indentation outside, so it will be the very different. So we need to understand that. So not only that, I can also give like, something like some symbols like this equal to, so that you will understand there is a difference. Or instead of that, I can replace it, saying like, hey, so print off, there is something called a string repetition, right? Into like, 15 something. So I can do the same things. See, this is all about maturity of doing the things. Okay, so now you understood, you got one kind of structure, that is fine. Now you see, so we have used in an ordinary way of doing it. Rather, if you want all to be in like a single place, instead of that, I can replace it with a one string. Means I can take the first value, second value, and like third value, and I can convert to a string. This is using string concatenation. I am doing all of them. So that is also possible. And if I repeat the same thing with old style formatting, hope you remember old style formatting. So when you have something, we can represent with the old style formatting also. So if you want to replace with the old style formatting, so we can do with the other way. Instead of like just converting everything to string and doing, you take a string format and plus on the values. I pass it 3 placeholders and I pass it 3 values. This is much more better, right? And even if you want to do something better, I can tell that. So in old style formatting also, we have something interesting. Say for each value, if you want to reserve some positions, say like first digit should be 2 digits maximum, second digit should be 2 digits, because you can see this is not aligned properly. But the moment I read the second one, did you see the code is much more aligned? So this is the beauty of formatting. Whether it is old style or new style, it will do some things. So instead of like old style, say if you want to do the same thing with a new style. So new style means what? You don't specify the data type, but you just give the placeholders, that's it. I give 3 placeholders, I gave the value, it worked. But again, here also, the beauty is like you can specify the positions also, right? So that's what new style will give an advantage for us. You just sell whatever you want. And it's not just about placing a placeholder and giving the positions. I can give the formatting also. Means that first should we have 2 digits, 2 digits, 3 digit space, that spaces and everything I can tell. So, and not only that, there is some interesting thing called a zero padding. Zero padding means same like that above, but with a slight difference. Did you observe? Instead of like saying 2, I'm saying 0 2, means reserve 2 digit space. And if the value is less than that, fill with zeros. Did you see what happened? The first one should have 2 digits. Second one should 2 digits. Like that it happened. And if you do like, just positions, you don't give the positions also, that also it works. just to tell you, like, what are the different ways of string formatting, how the string formattings can help us in our due course of life. In the same fashion, like in new style formatting, we have something in a f strings also, right? In f strings also, just we can print, or we can give the formatting also. Here also we can give, if you want zero padding, everything we can give. So not only this, why I'm displaying only 5 tables? So why, okay, it should start from 0, that's fine. But why it is doing like this? So if you want like some other max value, I can tell like, so max, say table, max table is equal to 10. So, instead of having variables within the code, every time changing the variables, if you have the constants, it would be easy afterwards to change. So now if you say, it will say like till 10 digits, 10 values. If you want like till 20, you can tell that. Till 30, you can tell that. So that's the beauty of these things. Now with this knowledge, so you can help me with some assignments. So I have some good number of assignments in this year for you to do. So I already gave some insights for you to how to do certain things. So there is one assignment for displaying the values from 10 to 1. Means first table, second table, third table, like that only. But you will display from 10 to 1, like that. So 1 tens are, 1 nines are, 1 nines are, like that. Till 10 table you need to display. So how to do? In the second for loop, you need to do in a reverse way. So how to do that? You need to understand. How I created the while loop from 0 to 1, right? So 0 till 5 means incrementing loop. You need to do a decrementing loop inside. Means you place the highest value here, and like you need to decrement it. And similarly, so displaying the numbers in a horizontal fashion. I told you how to do the zero padding. So zero padding you do, but in so like this you need to show. So how to show that? You just give a try, and definitely you can do that. It's not a big deal. Hope it's fine for you.
Yes.
Fine. And similarly, so you can go with like different kinds of examples. So one last example I want to take to you is that the number guessing game. So the number guessing game, what we have done earlier. Hope you remember we did a number guessing game and we found like different ways of doing. So finally we decided that, we go with something, right? Like this. You give a number and you give the condition. Based upon that, it works. For that knowledge that we have at that time, this is the best. But by the time you learned a lot of things, you want to limit it. So say like you want this condition works. So if you execute it, it will work like CLS and Python D, for example. It will give the things. Now this time I have lucky number as 67. Say like if I have 56, it says increase your guess. If I say like, so 67, it says you guessed it correctly. Fine. Now I want to make a limit on how many times user can do. So how many guesses they can do. So for doing that, I can go for the next example. In this example, what I do, instead of like that, the same condition, so same logic, whatever I have, say this one, right? I take the same thing. But before that, first I implement a loop for attempts. I will take a variable called as attempt is equal to 0. And so while attempt is less than 5, because you are starting from 0, that's why I do it less. So if it is starting from 1, I do less than or equal to. So that's based upon the condition we need to do. Attempt plus equal to 1. Now every time I execute, I write like what is the attempt. Attempt equal to. So first I try to achieve that. Did you see I'm able to get the attempt? Now within this attempt, whatever the logic I have, I do the same thing. So earlier I have the same logic, right? I just need to place within the loop. That's it. So user, when they're executing right now, they can do max within that duration itself. Means it's not like you are executing 10 times the script. The script will execute only once, and you do have 5 chances within that. Means like first time I give 34. It says increase your guess. I gave like 45. Increase your guess. I gave like 56. It says increase your guess. I gave like 78. So decrease your guess. I gave like 89. So like that. After my guesses were done, it was stopped, right? So when it was stopped after that, so we should tell like hey bro, so you have completed your logics and you need to stop here now. So for that we can write again a condition within it. That's it, right? If I do this time like this, then it is easy. Python say D execution. This time you say, hey, attempt number 1, 12. Attempt number 2, you get 23. Third attempt, fourth attempt, fifth attempt you get. So now did you understand? So after when it is coming out, it will check this condition and print the statement. So that is easy for us. We don't know like whether why it is coming out. So now one more condition I want to check, and I want to tell one thing here. Don't you know that in this while loop of 5 times, every time this condition is getting checked, right? This condition is nothing to do with your business logic. This condition is for your last condition, right? Last when you want to exit, in that case only this condition is useful. So for that case, there is another way of doing. Instead of doing like this, we can go with a different way. See, you are learning new things. There were problems. To solve the problem, you are waiting for some other solutions. So there is something called as while loop with a else condition. What do you mean by while loop with a else condition? Means instead of I doing a condition here inside, I will just write like else here. Else, and I write the same condition, whatever I have. Means within the for loop, I don't have anything. So which conditions can be wrote like this? Means the condition that you want to execute at the end of the loop. In these kind of cases, at the end of the loop when you want to execute, in that case we do it. Okay, you executed. So if I executed like this, I told like 12, 23, 34, 45, 56. I did in 5 loops. I didn't do in the 5 attempts. It's fine. Now do it. So first you need to understand what is this else condition. Of course, if you are coming from different languages, it is a bit hard for you to digest, because till now else is there only for the if conditions. For while loop also we have else, means that's very interesting. So till now if else condition means what? If condition is not satisfied, the else condition will run. But while loop else condition works in a different way. If let's say it is designed to work in this case for 5 loops. For the 5 loops it executed, then it will execute the else condition. In which case